how's it going? I got two stories dealing with Washington, D.C. This one was interesting because I don't know what to make of it. I really don't know what to make of it. I don't know if it's a distraction or if it was a training exercise or someone calling in a fake call. But reports of an active shooter at the Senate building may have been a bogus call, Capitol Police Chief says. Reports of a possible active shooter near the U.S. Senate building Wednesday afternoon prompted shelter in place orders and evacuations by the U.S. Capitol Police. Officials now say that all buildings have been cleared and there is no threat. U.S. Capitol Police Chief Tom Manager, what an interesting last name, says more than 200 officers went door to door through the Senate office building and searched the surrounding areas after officers responded to a concerning 911 call that came around 2:30 p.m. I might hear this concerning phone call. Immediately, they immediately issued a shelter-in-place orders from the office building and evacuated other nearby buildings. We found nothing concerning. We got nobody that actually heard shots, certainly no victims. As we gone through the buildings, nobody said that they seen anything. The manager said the initial notice to the Senate building staff, police said, due to the security threat inside the building, immediately move inside your office or the nearest office. Take emergency equipment and visitors. Close and lock and stay away from external doors and windows. If you're in a public space, find a place to hide and or seek cover. Remain quiet. Silence electronics. Once you're in a safe location, immediately check with your OEC. No one will be permitted to enter or exit the building until directed by the USCP. If you're in the building outside the effective area, remain clear of the police activity. Await further direction. We have to take the advantage of having trained for this over the last couple of years. We had a very quick response, manager said. Added that while the shelter in place is still in effect for those inside the buildings, they're not stopping people from leaving if they choose to. They were, however, stopping people from re-entering while the investigation is ongoing. Please note that at the time of the response began, there was no confirmed reports of gunshots. He said the 911 caller also did not report gunfire but claimed that there is an active shooter in the Hart building. Call from, I guess, Metro Police Department or MPD did not indicate that they heard anything, or just someone saying there was an active shooter. They gave a description and that the was in the Hart building. The manager said they originally described given the shooter was a heavy-set Hispanic male wearing body armor, but not added that this may have been a bogus call. Officers finished searching the buildings just before 4 p.m. See here. Let's hear Fox News reporter Hillary Fogg told Fox 5 that she was on the third floor of the Russell Senate office building when the police and assault geared entered and told members of the media to evacuate. Vaughn reports that they were ushered down the stairs and that the police were in a posture that seemed to be trying to contain an active threat. Chad Pergram, senior congressional correspondent, told Fox News, was also on the Senate side of the Capitol. He told Fox News that he saw police searching the Dirksen and Hart buildings and that nothing was found. The commotion prompted concerns about security for Thursday as former President Donald Trump is expected to appear in the D.C. courtroom for his arraignment on federal charges related to his January 6th altercation, civil unrest, and his attempt to invalidate the results of the 2020 presidential election. The manager said law enforcement is prepared for any possible disturbance. We are prepared for tomorrow. We've been working with our partners from partners agencies here in the MPD, U.S. Parks, Secret Service, and Federal Protective Services. We've been working together in preparation for whenever the indictment, in fact, did happen. We've been talking about this for a couple of weeks now. Manager says, so yeah, we are prepared. I mean, what if this was a training exercise for tomorrow from the Capitol Police Department? I'm not ruling that out. Like, I want to hear this phone call. But of course, my other one is, it's from the HuffPost. I mean, I know it says Yahoo News, but it's from the HuffPost. Harvard Law professor spots one major flaw in the case against Trump. Since he has been indicted in January 6th, Harvard constitutional law professor Lawrence Tribe called the latest indictment against Donald Trump brilliant, but said that there's one factor that could render the whole thing mute: timing. I don't think that Attorney General Merrick Garland did not proceed as fast as he might have, Tribe said on MSNBC on Tuesday evening. As a result, the case against Trump over his actions leading up to January 6th attack the U.S. Capitol could drag on into the next presidency. If the next presidency is held by Donald Trump or by one of his acolytes or by virtually any Republican, there's a horrible prospect that this will likely all be wiped away, Tribe says, and that would be regulated to the kind of historic footnote. Several 2004 GOP contenders have said that they'll pardon Trump if elected. Tribe said it's a reminder how vulnerable and fragile the legal system is. We have a system that might go too slowly, that might be too opaque, and said that a system that's not all guaranteed to triumph over politics. Let's see here. Timing is irrelevant. The results of the charges is also irrelevant. Deciding factor should be whether the charge was legitimate or the evidence gathered is solid. Ideally, but who would prosecute? But if the will to prosecute is lost, then the outcome is unsure. Except there are laws and policies in place to mitigate for possible election interference. Timing matters only because he's running for president, and it makes it suspicious to a lot of people who already don't trust the government to behave. What is irrelevant is charging the former president of the United States for saying that he believed to be true while still president. The president of the United States is entitled to free speech like all Americans, unless you're in the military. If Trump is convicted for a politically biased judge and jury because of the venue, do you really think it will be upheld to the Supreme Court? Our founding fathers included freedom of speech in the First Amendment of our Constitution for a reason. Congress shall make no laws respecting the establishment of religion or prohibiting free speech, exercise thereof, abridging the freedom of speech or the press, or the right of the people to peacefully assemble and to petition the government for redress and grievances, along with the freedom of speech is largely part. The last part is very important. The right to petition the government for redress of grievances is the right to make a complaint or seek assistance of one government without the fear of punishment or reprisal. Under Garland, now that's funny. I mean, it's looking like Garland is corrupt, and seems like Mitch McConnell did us a favor by not allowing him to become a Supreme Court justice. People will speak, and hopefully there'll be no interference from the FBI and the liberal media managing the battleground polling stations, and no voting without picture ID or registration to vote. No one wants those not eligible to vote to do so. When one side wins under fair and open elections, that should be it. Losing shy to shake the opponent's hand and try again another time. It's like a football game. You cannot decide the winners based on your favorite team. Remember, the media is a bit liberal because it informed the truth, and the media mostly patriotic Americans. Fox, of course, is neither. Taking pop shots at Fox. This year, the foundation that holds democracy is what Trump attacked. If these cases are not adequately exhausted within the judicial extent, the U.S. legal system, Trumping presidents would have been set. And we all need to understand that America may not survive another attack. I hope the law navigates the course impartially, and if found guilty, Trump, should that be Trump, found Trump guilty, is made to serve a punishment amplified. I disagree with you there. So sadly, there's a portion of Republicans that no longer trust the foundations of democracy. That's the point, that he will not be held accountable along with his accomplices. That will only serve as a blueprint for next time we have to vote accordingly to save the country, which is anyone but Democrats. This here, Tribe is 100% correct about the legal system being highly accessible to politics. However, I would add wealth and power to the legal system substantially. But the average person cannot afford to hire a competent lawyer, or even for the most trivial cases, let alone a major case. This is not the same of having a legal system for all, but the majority of the people. That's a very good point. You can't afford a lawyer from Yale or from prestigious law firm that has a track record of giving you a sweetheart deal. As here, this country had a lot of presidents of all kinds of American life, education, military, poor, and millionaires. The current legal system was around in 1776, with all the alleged founding fathers being jailed for a revolution against the King of England. I do not agree with the violence against the people and the police. Murder is unforgivable, as I was taught in Sunday school. Some of the stunts Trump's pulled reminds me of Nixon. I mean, some of the stunts that are being pulled by Biden definitely reminds me of Nixon. A couple more that were caught. Many more things that were breaking the law by the president and the cabinet did not get caught. I think it's time for a real American to display the qualities of all of U.S. citizens and voters. It's time for multimillionaires to step aside. Term limits for all elected people need to be limited. Several politicians have shown that their age is not their friend. Let's see, I generally agree with you. However, congressional terms have already have term limits in the form of elections. I understand this argument. The people want to elect the people that they choose to elect. Sometimes you don't get a choice to elect a person. Sometimes you're in a district where they vote blue no matter who. They vote red no matter who. And it's the person that's already in office usually wins the primaries. They normally don't. They may have debates, or they may not have any debates. But having term limits in place, I mean, it could be 2 for the Senate. Let's see here, maybe 6 for the House of Representatives, making it 12-12. 2 for the president. The root of the problem in politics is unable to be plugged into incumbents to get access to a lot of lobbyist monies and crush any and all challengers. If you get money out of politics, the term issues of the people of Congress will fix itself. I disagree. You're always going to need money in politics. Let's see here. Perhaps it's time to reconsider the whole idea of pardons, either by a president or governor. Certainly gives the individual power to overturn verdicts by juries. Why should one citizen merely winning an election have the power to circumvent the will expressed by 12 citizens sitting in a judgment? The power is more suited for the monarchy rather than a democracy. So you're removing the power of the pardon will make the takeover more likely, not less. If someone wants to play dirty bad enough, they're going to do it. And if they can't, they'll do whatever necessary to do it anyway. So the problem with the executive branch decides whether to charge the following up on or not. The power to pardon is just a way to formalize it so that it can happen legally. Changing the powers of pardon to the president would take a constitutional amendment. Interesting fact, you know. Let's see, a major flaw with the legal system is speed. When the system was concentrated, the population was small, the cases generally were much simpler. The pandemic further backlog that was already decrepit system. Yes, Garland can move faster, but in no event will there be a conviction, and the appeal would have taken at least a year to go to the Supreme Court. So don't expect the legal system to save us from Trump. He must be defeated one more time at the polls, or all is lost. Let's see here. As long as Biden, the liar, receives the same treatment, I mean, sure. If he has as much evidence as we have against Trump, I'm all for it. But the evidence has to be concrete. As such, you're just lying to yourself. Or there's actually more evidence against Biden. You have the whistleblowers. You have the Hunter Biden's BFFF. Let's talk about Biden here. One, he's old. So, unless he steps out of the race, impeachment is our only recourse. Unless you want to use the impeachment to force him to step down, like the Democrats forced Nixon to step down. But then we have Kamala Harris, which, you know what, I am willing to take Kamala Harris over Biden right now. I don't know what that's going to look like. But if my choice was between Biden and Harris, I'm going to have to pick Harris. The House GOP is doing an impeachment inquiry. Now, that doesn't mean impeachment. It just opens the door for a possible impeachment. And we may come till fall to see an actual impeachment hearing in the House of Representatives. And they may have actually impeached Biden this fall, going into the primary elections. And the Senate, mostly Democrat. Actually, it's not mostly Democrats. It is actually 48 Democrats, 50 Republicans, and 2 independents. Actually, I think it's 3 independents now that make up the majority of the Democrats. And I don't know if it's a majority or if it's 60% of the senators have to vote to convict Biden. But that is a very good possibility. And the thing is I know people are getting frustrated with the GOP. I understand it. They're moving too slowly with the impeachment query. They're saying if this was Trump, the Democrats would have already impeached him and removed him, which would probably be true. But the thing is, in order to impeach the president, the Republicans are using this thing called a standard. They want to make sure that they cross their I's and dot their T's. They make sure that even the Democrats have to say something's up here. They have to force the Democrats to say nothing happened. Either nothing's happened here or something's there and we must remove him from office. And this may be the thing that pushes the Democrats to go talk to Joe Biden and be like, look, if you want to run again, we will remove you from office. That's the case that's against you right now. Or you could step down and let Gavin Newsom or RFK Jr. run in your place. Because that's kind of what happened with Nixon. With that being said, that is my video for today. It's going on really long. With that being said, have yourself a wonderful day. morning or evening.